Thank you everyone for joining us today. I know that some of you have been to some of our webinars that we've done in the past couple of months. Today we are going to talk about learning from near misses. It's a really, really valuable topic. It's a very proactive thing that you can do to help improve your safety culture. And while we won't get into the nitty-gritty details, we'll talk about at a really high level of what those benefits are and how you can approach that in your own company, right? Before I do that, first want to introduce Arbil for those of you who maybe haven't been to some of our webinars or aren't as familiar with our company. We've been providing safety products and services for over 75 years. Our mission is to, we envision a future in which every employee returns home safely every day. It's just that simple. With safety as our only focus, we make living life safer. We are a woman-owned business. We are ISO 9001 certified. We're a GSA contract holder. Anything that you need under the realm of safety, be it products, be it training, be it consulting services, Arbil is here to provide that for you and to help you meet all of your goals for keeping your employees safe. Now to introduce myself, my name is Kate Manis. I manage the EHS services department here at Arbil, with my focus being on training, compliance, and regulation services, as well as consulting to our customers throughout the country. I've got almost 25 years experience in environmental health and safety. Most of my experience is couched either in biomedical research or in the oil and gas industry, but I've been with Arbil for going on 2 years now. I have a master's degree in environmental science with a focus in industrial hygiene, and I'm a certified safety professional. I would also like to introduce our guest speaker who's joining me today is Sean Phelan. Sean is a sales engineer at Accuform, a national marker company. And AccuformNMC provides stock and custom products for facility safety identification. Sean's got over 13 years experience in this realm, focused on safety supplies to multiple different industries. He holds a Bachelor of Science degree in law enforcement and justice administration. So welcome, Sean. I can't wait to talk to you more about some of the things that Accuform can provide to help keep our folks safe in the workplace. One thing we always like to start off with when we're doing our webinars is a little bit of talk about the safety maturity life cycle. Arbil has realized that, in speaking with our different customers and clients throughout the United States, many have difficulty in understanding exactly where they stand relative to their peers in industry when it comes to safety, right? So we've developed the safety maturity life cycle. It's kind of a gut check. Where are you on your safety journey, right? Folks who are starting out might just be in that preliminary bucket where they're just getting their feet wet and understanding what they need to do. A lot of us will tend to focus on meeting into that middle, that compliant area. When we know that we're checking all the boxes, we're doing everything we need to do. But really what we all kind of strive to do, and especially safety folks like me, we like to get at that proactive and we want to aim for that world-class safety performance. One of the ways we can do that is kind of keep in mind where we are on our journey and what do we need to do to advance further. So we'll come back to this at the end of the webinar today. Think about where you are in this cycle, and then maybe after today's talk, after today's webinar, you'll have some ideas of what you can do to move yourself forward. Now, a brief agenda of what we're going to talk about today. We're going to do some near miss definitions, right? What is a near miss? Let's talk about that and get that settled first and foremost. We'll talk about some of the benefits of near miss reporting and learning, and how you can kind of simply, doesn't have to be very difficult, but you can simply put together a system for near miss reporting and some of the value that you're going to get from doing that and seeking out that information and learning from it. I'm going to talk about an aviation case study in near miss. It's one of really good example of how near misses have been used to improve an entire industry. And then we'll talk about some other tools for warning in the environment, other ways that we can prevent incidents, we can protect our employees by just giving a heads up that maybe there's a hazard ahead. Okay. Now, anytime any of you who have attended our webinars before, I like to try to keep it a little bit interactive. And even though I have you on mute, I do have my chat window open. If you're not familiar with Teams, up at the very top bar, there's a chat bubble. And if you click on that, it'll open up the chat window. So as we go today, if you have any questions, anything like that, feel free to drop it into the chat. But I've got some questions for you as well. So the first one I have is, how would your company define a near miss? Or would your company define a near miss? Or is your company completely afraid of near misses, right? Does anybody have any thoughts on that? How your company looks at near misses? Well, while you type in there into the chat and let me know, I can tell you that OSHA has a pretty good definition for near misses, right? They say a near miss is a potential hazard or incident in which no loss occurred, but given a slight shift in time or position, we could have damaged property, we could have injured a person. It could have easily occurred. You'll hear them called close calls. You'll hear it called near accidents. Accident precursor is one of my favorites I like to hear. Near collision, really based on kind of your operations, the industry you're working in, you might have a different term for it. But at the end of the day, a near miss, follows some guidelines. It's a warning of future incidents, right? It's an opportunity to proactively protect safety and well-being. Our last webinar we did was on incident investigation and reporting. We talked about how important it is after we've done an investigation on an incident to take that learning, turn it into some action, right? And follow that action through so that we can try to ensure that that incident doesn't occur again. With a near miss, we get to do all of those same things. We get to put those safeguards in place without ever having incurred a loss. So it's a really valuable thing, and it's a key building block in creating a robust safety culture. Really, in short, a near miss is a gift. It's something that is there for the taking. It doesn't cost anything. It only improves not only your bottom line, but your safety culture moving forward. Now, near miss has been around for a while. The whole topic, the whole notion has been around for a while. And for those of you who work in EHS or have some experience in environmental health and safety, we'll probably recognize Heinrich's pyramid. William Herbert Heinrich, he worked for Travelers Insurance Company back in the 1930s. And Heinrich studied more than 75,000 industrial accidents and tried to determine what he could glean from that. He published some groundbreaking theories based on health and safety in the workplace. And one of them was this pyramid. So what Heinrich said was that for every one major incident, so a fatality or a serious injury or a significant loss, there's going to be 29 related minor injuries that have occurred before that one big event occurred. And before those 29 minor incidents occurred, there were 300 unreported near misses. So, these exact numbers have been debated. They've gone through some refinement with, folks in the occupational safety community over the years. But one thing that has not changed is that knowledge that there is a correlation between near misses and significant incidents. And any activity that we can take based on our learnings from near misses will help us avoid that one major incident in the long haul. Another analogy that gets used a lot, and you may have seen before too, is the iceberg analogy of near misses. What's obvious is the above the waterline. Those incidents, those losses that we've experienced, those are the things that are very visible. Those are the things that we report on our KPIs, right? These are the things that the company sees. What is not quite so obvious is what's below the waterline, those near misses, those other unsafe behaviors that are lurking below and waiting to create an incident. So really, beyond using near misses as an opportunity to reduce incidents by applying safeguards before a loss occurs, near miss recognition can really help improve employee morale and can help your overall safety culture. Because when you think about it, who's going to be telling you about a near miss in the first place? Like, it's probably not upper management, right? It's the workers themselves, those employees who are on the front line doing the work are going to be the ones who recognize that a near miss occurred and who would have the opportunity to share that information with you so that you can learn from it. Studies have shown time and again that when employees feel their safety concerns are taken seriously by their employers, or they feel cared about by their employers, they're more productive and they're more likely to engage in improving safety climate themselves. And it doesn't have to be overly complicated, like I said. Near miss reporting it doesn't have to be a capital investment to get started, right? Some pretty simple steps. Determine terminology in your company approach. How are you going to approach this? Who is going to be reviewing the near misses? How are you going to prioritize which ones require action versus which ones do not? How are you going to act on that? How are you going to collect the near misses is also really important. We need to make sure that we have a clear and easy way of reporting. There's one thing we should know by now is that if we make it difficult, if we add in too many layers of administration, we're not going to get those reports from people, right? We need to make it really easy for folks to report when it's right when a near miss has happened, right when it's at the top of their mind, and they can share all of the information with you. And then, encouraging employee participation can be pretty tricky, right? You have to consider what drives your employees. Perhaps there are barriers that need to be removed in order to encourage your employees to report. One thing we'll talk about in the case study, one thing that can help is making reports anonymous or allowing reporters to be anonymous. Right. If you have a culture in which maybe workers are, fear retaliation or are worried if they share something, they could lose their job or it could impact their bonus or things like this. If that is what you're dealing with, then for certain, consider allowing those reports to be anonymous. In some cases, you're a small organization. There's not a lot of anonymity to be had there, right? Because it's going to be very clear that somebody from maintenance reported this. And that's fine too. It really just is gauged on where you are on that safety maturity life cycle and how your employees feel about their safety culture. So that's step one, just establish how you're going to approach it and what your near miss reporting system is going to look like. And step two is to learn from those, okay? We've collected near misses, we got to use them, right? We don't want them to just sit on a shelf or in a database. When we consider near misses that are reported, we have to think about how likely we are to see that event reoccur, right? And then what's the worst case scenario if it does? What is the potential negative outcome of that near miss? That really goes toward, as with all kind of risk analysis that we do, that helps us determine what kind of actions we need to take and how we need to prioritize those based on those near misses that have been reported. Make sure that you involve the right people when it comes to the learning. Get the people who know, get those workers who are involved in the operations that were involved in the near miss. They're the ones who are going to know, not only what the standard operating procedure says, but more importantly, what is actually done on the shop floor, right? Get those folks involved because they're going to know exactly what happens on the day-to-day. They're going to be familiar with the near miss that happened, and they probably already have some good ideas on how you can put some safeguards into place to keep that from happening again. And then finally, have a plan for how you're going to share the information that you glean from these near misses. Again, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to have a big banner or a first page of the newspaper, but you can do some very simple things. You can share this information in toolbox talks at the beginning of the day. You put them in your company newsletter. You can share them at your regular staff meetings. But having a means of sharing that with a wide audience does two things. One, it lets everybody know here was a close call, and here are some ways that we're going to prevent that from happening again and prevent future injuries and incidents. And two, it helps get buy-in, right? If you are new to putting out a near miss program and you're trying to sell it to management and to everyone else, what's really going to help sell that is when they see the product of it, right? A near miss was reported, we studied it, we made these changes, and as a result, we're a safer environment. Once folks see that and they see that through that sharing of the learning, they're going to be more inclined to jump in and report some near misses of their own. Now here's another question for you. True or false? Again, give me your guess in the chat. NASA played a role in monitoring near misses in aviation. Anyone? Sari says false. Yep, you say yes, true. Robert says false. It's true. NASA does play, still today, a very important role in near misses in aviation, but maybe not in the way you think of. It doesn't have to do with anything with satellites or anything of that. It's something very much more basic. So in order to understand that, let me tell you about a little case study in near misses, and this is focused on the aviation industry. Start with one particular incident. This happened in September of 1974. There's a United Airlines flight that was coming into Washington, D.C. They actually landed successfully, and as they were reviewing their flight plan after the fact, the pilots noticed that they had had a near miss. They had almost hit a mountain in Virginia on approach because they had misread a flight approach chart. They recognized that not only had this near miss happened to them, but it was that misinterpretation could happen to someone else as well. So they said, you know what, we're going to report this. They reported it to United's internal reporting system. A cautionary notice was sent out to all of the United pilots so that they wouldn't fall into the same, trap or have that same near miss and potentially an incident. So it's great, right? This near miss reported. There were lessons learned. They were shared. Can anyone see a problem, though? The problem was that it stayed in United. And I couldn't tell you how many airlines were in the air at that time, but it was more than one. So fast forward 10 weeks later, in the same year in December, there was a TWA flight that was inbound to Washington, D.C. in inclement weather. They had the same exact misinterpretation of the flight chart occur, but this time they had, descended below the minimum safe altitude. The plane collided with everyone on board. The passengers and crew were all killed. It was only during the investigation that it was discovered by the FAA that United had seen this problem, that other flight had seen this problem, had reported it, but it stayed within United. This is when the FAA realized they had a problem. They had this wealth of information, right? This vast body, but it's not being shared. Everyone had a story to share. Everyone from ground crew to pilots, there were all of this information, but it wasn't getting out. And when they tried to understand what the problem was, the Federal Aviation Administration realized that it was them. They were the problem. The problem is the FAA's role is as regulatory enforcement, right? They were the ones to regulations, lines of that. People were afraid to report to them because they feared retaliation. They were feared some punitive damages from that. So the FAA said, you know what we need here? We need a trusted third party who understands aviation, but has no active role in compliance or regulatory assurance. That's when they tapped NASA, right? So we went to NASA and say, you guys know as much about aviation as we do, but you have no impact on the operations of these commercial airlines or even cargo airlines. Will you run a near miss reporting service for us? And they said, of course we will. So NASA agreed to start operating the Aviation Safety Reporting System in 1976. Since that time, over 1 million near misses have been shared through the ASRS, resulting in adoption of too many safe work practices probably to count, but as well as impacting positively some of the regulations and rules that the FAA has in place to ensure safety. Two things that have worked, I think, really well in the favor of ASRS and the reason why it's still around today and is still so very successful are two things. One, they do anonymized reporting. So regardless, I could report something and use my name, I could use my company, but when they give the reports out, when they share those reports, they completely anonymize most of the data, right? So it's not the company you work for, it's not an individual, because you think about how that could harm reputation of a company. They want to take all of that out of it. So they kind of wash all of that information, but still keep the learning intact. The second thing that has made this so very successful is how openly they share this information. So if you were to Google right now, NASA and ASRS, it'll pull up the reporting system database and you can search. You don't have to have any credentials. You don't have to log in or sign up for anything. You can just search. I went on today, I pulled up my local airport because that was one of the search filters I could use. And I saw the last 50 events that were reported at my local airport. It's really, really very interesting. And I think because they've allowed that anonymous reporting and have such open sharing, they've been able to keep this system, this database growing for so long and have been able to learn so successfully from it. So go out there and do that. Google NASA, ASRS, take a look at some of the reports that are out there, get an idea, especially for those of you who are just looking to start this, you can get an idea of how they do it. You might not do it right before your next flight, though. Wait until you're back home safely. Now, near misses, of course, they're key. They're key in warning us of potential unseen risks. But we do have other warnings in place, right? If those of you who have walked into work today, you've probably walked past some of these other warnings. You've probably seen some visual indicators that say, hey, you need to take some proactive steps here to maintain your own safety. So I have another question for you. Do you know the meaning of ANSI safety colors, or even do you know that ANSI has safety colors? How many safety colors do you think ANSI has? And I know some of my environmental health and safety folks are probably going to get this, but go ahead and put your answer in the chat if you have any guesses. No, you don't know? Okay, great. Because I'll share, and when I share them, you'll say, oh, yes, I get it. Robert, you're close. Not 6, but 5. So safety red means danger or fire, right? If you think about it, that's the color of your fire extinguisher. If you see a sign on a high voltage panel, it's going to be in red writing. It's going to say danger or fire, something like that. That's letting you know that this is an immediately hazardous condition or situation. You don't want to involve with that, right? If you see orange, it's a warning. Orange indicates that there's a potential hazardous situation, and if that situation were to occur, it could result in death or serious injury. When we see yellow, it's telling us caution. So yellow is saying that potentially hazardous situation still exists, but it's likely that the outcome of an incident or an injury would be minor or moderate. We see blue, we'll often see blue with the word notice attached to it. And notice indicates that there might be an issue for property damage or a condition where a property could be damaged, but it's not likely that injuries are going to happen to people. And then green, safety green indicates that there's some safety instructions. So think about your own workplace. Think about if you have a sign over where your AEDs are located or first aid cabinets. Think about the signs or directionals that lead you to emergency exits. Those tend to be green because those are giving us information on how we need to be safe and move safely throughout our space. With that little bit of trivia shared on our safety, ANSI safety colors, I'm going to turn it over to Sean to talk about some of the different options and technologies that Accuform has that helps you make sure that your employees are warned properly of potential hazards. And Sean, if I need to, let me have you share your screen or share your camera, and I'll make sure that you are unmuted.
All right, camera's on.
All right, and I hear you. I do. I'll go ahead to the next slide.
All right, Kathleen, appreciate it. So I'm Sean with Accuform National Marker Company. We are a manufacturer of safety identification items that can go into your facilities. The slide right here, looking at OSHA's top 10 cited standards that they commonly look for. You can see 1 through 10 there: fall protection, respiratory protection, ladder safety, scaffolding, all the way down to machine guarding. And next to it, you can see our products and how they fit into OSHA's top 10. And those items are designed to help make you aware of near misses and help prevent accidents and just basically do common safety practices in the workplace. Next slide. Right here, we got a cutout of a facility. So our saying is our products basically are from the front gate to the back dock. The minute you drive into that parking lot, you have speed signs, speed limit signs, directional arrows, all kinds of those items that can help right away when you pull in that parking lot all the way to the back dock. We can make promotional banners that can go on your fences. Again, we touched on the perimeter directional signage to tell visitors where to go and where your employees need to go so nobody starts wandering around the facility. And again, we get into the traffic and roadway signs. Very large industrial parks, semi-trucks, cars speeding down the roadway just causes a potential hazard. No stop signs, no slow signs, pedestrian crossway walks, warnings and stuff like that. Always highly recommended to help, address those near misses, not just in the plant, but outside the plant. Next slide. Here's a construction sites are very common. They are typically very well marked. Again, we get in, the custom stock banners we can make. Construction sites, right when you pull onto the property, construction trailers typically have a sign that says report to the front office. They also have a large sign that tells people what PPE identification or what protective clothing is needed before they go onto that construction site. And they also have tons of traffic signage as well. So construction sites, if you've ever been on one or seen them or drove through one, you will see that they are very well marked, or actually should be. So next slide. All right, here's a cutout of the basically an interior warehouse. You can kind of see where our products go to indicate or make employees more aware where to walk and help to prevent those accidents. We offer stock and custom OSHA ANSI signs. We are big with floor marking. We get into floor marking tapes, labels, stickers that can be fully customized. If you got a specific message that you want to put on that floor decal, we can create that. For example, if you need safety glasses and boots before you walk onto the plant floor, before you enter the receiving warehouse, we can make a sign that says that and goes onto the floor for you. Aisle and floor markings is basic pedestrian walkway indicators. Directional arrows tells your employees on which side of the walkway to walk, so they're not just wandering around the back of the warehouse where the forklift traffic is, or any other traffic for that matter. Okay, next slide.
Well, I have a question I'm going to ask to everybody else, only because you brought up floor markings, right? And this may not apply to everybody, but especially those of you who maybe have some warehouse operations or have some construction operations. Think about your floor signage. Is it taped on? Is it painted on? Is it there, but has it worn off? Maybe you can't see it. if you have any thoughts on that, you can drop that into the chat. But I know that, in my experience, we start off with the best of intentions. We tape things down or we paint them really nicely. And then over time, they start to fade and it becomes kind of more difficult to replace those over time, right, Sean?
Yeah, usually new construction, new warehouses, or even existing ones, they'll go with floor paint. That's a
Mm-hmm.
great start. That can be costly and it does not last forever. And then to
Yeah.
repaint again, it's a very expensive project. So the other options would be to use floor tape. Um, we have a variety of tapes out there available. Also, certain tapes that we can put custom messaging on as well. But the new trend in the industry, it's been going on for about the past couple of years, is the LED projectors. So there's options out there for LED projectors. If you can see those bottom two left pictures there, or the bottom left picture, there's an actual two projectors that actually project the walkway. The far right picture, you can see the green line, which is a laser line projector. And then in the middle one, you can see the existing customer's floor tape. And then on the right side, that yellow one is an actual LED projector line. So if taping's not working for you, floor stickers, decals, painting's too costly, it's just, you're changing your plant around, you're moving machines, so paint is a little more permanent. The option is to go to LED projectors, and they're out there for demo. If you guys got questions, just let us know.
That's excellent. Yeah. Yeah, I know that once you've moved into a space, right, it becomes very hard if you've got to shut down operations to replace or repaint. It becomes a struggle. I've got another true or false question for folks. True or false? I know how to identify when equipment was last inspected. And I guess if you think about equipment that needs inspection, one thing that always occurs to me is fire extinguishers, right? Because I'm a safety person. So I don't walk by a fire extinguisher without looking to see, hey, when was that last inspected? But there are a lot of other opportunities to kind of use some equipment signage as well, right?
Yeah, correct. When we offer sign surveys, and that's when we're walking through the facilities. Those are kind of one of the three things we notice a lot: fire extinguishers not tagged or marked properly, not properly identified, and that goes along with the electrical panels, eye wash station inspection tags, all the way down to lockout tagout. You might not think about it, but lockout tagout, when your maintenance personnel are doing repairs on machines, there could be a near miss or a fatal accident if these guys don't have the machine locked out properly. So using lockout tagout devices and signs and actually procedures that you can print onto a sign is a really good product to keep your employees safe.
100%. Absolutely. Here's another true or false question. I always know what PPE to wear or use. Now, I'm not going to answer this. I work from home most of the time. So my proper PPE is, whatever, some flip-flops and, some clothes. So I see some yeses. Keith says false. Don't always know. It's difficult to always know. Maybe you always know what you wear in your work area or for your operations, but it becomes different when you move around a facility, right?
Yeah, correct. We get that question all the time, even though they train their employees when they come on site. You get large warehouses, large operations where you have multiple shifts, you have multiple ethnic groups, multiple languages being spoken within that facility. So, danger in spelling out the word eyeglasses, or, notice eyeglasses must be worn beyond this point. Not everybody can read. It's something that everybody's going towards in the industry. So they're leaning towards the ISO ANSI symbols, if you can see the picture to the right. So that's easily identifiable. If you got to wear safety glasses, you need to have a mask or a face shield on. So that's what a lot of people are leaning towards in the industry. And if we can custom make those signs to your wording, your message that you want to put out there, the size, even the material, whatever message you want to put on there, symbol, Arbil can help design that for you. And below, back to the LED projectors, we all, not just besides, walkways and laser lines, we also offer symbols, so stop signs or caution, forklift traffic, uh, the one you're looking at there, proper PPE required, for those situations where your floor tapes aren't, staying down, your floor decals are coming up, high forklift traffic, they're just tearing up everything. The LED projectors are out there as well as an option.
So some of the things that we consider quite often is what does it cost for us to do nothing, right? If we did nothing at all and we just let the chips fall where they may, what are the potential costs associated with that? So for OSHA, fines for noncompliance for serious injuries start at $15,625 per violation, all the way up to $156,259 for willful or repeat violations. That's just on the violation side. And worker injuries themselves cost the United States $167 billion annually, with average cost for each single injury requiring medical attention being around $42,000. So, both using signs for warnings and learning from near misses, all of these together can really help warn employees and visitors, right, of the hazards present, how we can prevent incident, and overall how we can protect employees and make sure people go home safe every day. And you had kind of alluded to this, Sean, but you want to talk a little bit more about what Accuform can do for sites in doing your workplace site assessments.
Yeah, so we offer sign survey site assessments as well as what we call a study survey. We know the people on the call here, you guys are super busy, guys and girls. You got a lot on your plate. So trying to walk through and identify signage and then find a source for it, or actually put a list together of what's needed. We can do that for you with Arbil. We can come in, walk the plant with you, or with one of your, whoever you want, walk the plant, take notes, and compile a list of SKUs, and also give, recommended signage on best practice and or whatever you want to focus on. So that ties into the sign survey. Study survey, we get into flammable storage cabinets, eye wash station inspections, secondary spill containment. Just to back up a little bit, Accuform falls under the Just Right Safety Group, which is the largest manufacturer of safety products when it doesn't come to PPE. So again, your type 1, 2 safety cans, flammable storage cabinets, spill containment, eye wash stations, even all the way down to your floor matting, anti-fatigue mats. If your mats are getting worn out and they're curling up on the edges, that's a potential trip hazard, which turns into a near miss or an accident. So that's kind of quick overall summary of our services available at no charge to you through Arbil. So
excellent. Yeah. And I think it's a great service. And to your point, I think that, if we walk past the same sign every day, we stop noticing. Maybe we don't notice that it's fading out and that red is turned pink, or it's not as visible as it once was. So I think it's a really great service that you guys provide, be able to come in and do that assessment and look with fresh eyes, right, at a facility and understand what's present and what could be improved.
correct.
Now, with Arbil, we also, like I said, we are a product services supply company. So, we have every kind of safety supply you would need, from fall protection to head and hand protection. We also, as I mentioned, do training. We do industrial hygiene consulting. So if you need some monitoring done for your employees, anything within the realm of safety, even bringing folks up to speed on their required safety training. we would be happy to help with that. I've included right there on the slide the Once Hub link for both myself and for Keith LaFrance, who is on the call. He is our VP of Commercial Sales. And we invite you to contact us and set up a complimentary safety strategy session. Let us know where your pain points are, and we can help try to develop some solutions to help you meet your safety goals and ensure that your folks do go home safer every day. With that, I'm going to open it up to questions. If anybody has any questions to dip into the chat there. I don't know, Sari, if you have received any other questions. I'll give it just a second or two here to see if anyone is typing. While I wait for you to type in your questions, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the conclusions. Overall, I can't say it enough, near misses are a gift, right? The opportunity to get such valuable learning before you even incur a loss is so valuable. Not only are you missing that whole cost of doing nothing, you are protecting your people. You're showing them that you were concerned for their safety. They're going to be more productive, and they're going to be more involved in your safety culture as a result. Near miss reporting doesn't have to be complicated. It can be fairly simple. You can use tools that you already have. You can use something as simple as a, kind of think of the, idea box, right, or suggestion box, something of that nature. But as long as you follow through and share those and communicate those learnings widely with the organization, you'll be successful. Other tools for, warning of hazards are also so very important. They're kind of passive again, getting ahead of things before there is a problem, before there's been an incident or injury, and notifying employees and visitors really of what hazards exist and how to avoid them is really one of the key things that we can do to ensure that our workplaces are safe.
Catherine, can I step in for a second?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Please do.
Yeah, and I know we're talking about, like, you guys might wonder how should we record near misses, or how should we go about that? I've been on a lot of plant floors. We make KPI, or key performance indicator dry erase boards, magnetic, fully customizable, and we see those. They're put right on the plant floor.
Yeah.
Near misses this week. Check marks, magnets moving across the board. Even to the Digiday boards, that was that stoplight you saw that indicated near misses. Those are mounted like right on plant floors. Everybody can notice when that color changes, like, oh, what happened? It changed yellow today. So Chuck walked in front of a forklift or something. So there's ways you can track that and get that message out to your employees.
That's a great ad, and I think that one really wonderful thing about making it visible is people ask the question, right? They don't wait to be told what happened. They ask what happened. So Siri was asking, what are the steps to know where you fit on the safety maturity life cycle? Good question. That's my next slide. I mentioned this, I brought this up at the beginning. If you contact myself or Keith by our Once Hub, or you have my email by now, we'd love to sit down with you and walk you through this. Understanding where you are now, and we'll take today's topic, near misses. If you are tracking near misses, then that's going to put you probably closer to proactive and world class. But if you aren't and you want to start doing that, that's a really good way to advance in that direction. There's also, a number of things that you can do. We would love the opportunity to sit down, talk through it with you, help you make that determination about where you stand now and what your goals are to move forward. Last slide, just some upcoming webinar topics. We have planned value of a site assessment. We're going to do one of my favorites, human and organizational performance. If you have any ideas of any webinars that you would like to see, again, if you have my email now, feel free to send those to us. Above all, we want to make sure that we can be, of service to you. Give you some education, introduce you to some products you might not know about yet, and really, at the end of the day, ensure that you and all of your employees go home safely. With that, I thank you so much for your time today. Thank you, Sean, for joining me and enlightening us. And I hope to see you all soon. Stay safe, everybody.